So a couple of weeks ago, I got a comment about how do you lock in? And although this wasn't a very specific question, I'll overlay the steps to lock in. So when it comes to training, competition, or even academics, there's a point in your time where you have to lock in. Without the ability to lock in, or in other terms, focus when it matters, you'll start to crumble under pressure. Back when I was younger, there were many moments in my life where I had the trouble of locking in, focusing when it matters, crumbling under pressure, and not performing the best like I should be. I was always excited or nervous or both. Sometimes I like to tell myself that the nervousness is excitement, but then that just leads me to overthrow the ball, shoot really bad, all that kind of stuff. I let that get the best of me. I couldn't control my energy. I just put subpar performance out there. I'm sure you had the same issues as I had. So here are the steps that helped me be calm under pressure while delivering high quality work. So first, identify what you need to lock in for. Maybe you're like me who needs to lock in sports and academics. So ask yourself, do I need to lock in academics or do I need to lock in sports? Once you figure that out, then you can go to the next step. So if you need to lock in sports like a couple weeks before a competition, then you need to ask yourself, what are the things that you control? And once you identify the things that you can control, ask yourself, what can I do better? So if it's your diet, are you eating right? If not, eat more healthier foods, avoid the processed and junk food that the world offers, and just eat clean. Are you drinking enough water? If not, carry a water bottle around with you. Have a straw with it because it's easier to access. And what I'd like to ask myself, if I've drank enough water is like, if I haven't pissed enough like 4 times this day, then I need to drink more water. So drink more water, add electrolytes to that. Electrolytes are very important. And are you sleeping enough? Are you getting enough high quality sleep, 7 to 9 hours every day? Are you taking your magnesium, and are you avoiding screens or blue light an hour before you sleep? These are the controllables that you can do, because you can control what you put in your mouth, like food and water, and you can also control your sleep. Maybe if you have a very hectic schedule, you can't. But if you're spending a lot of time on your phone, beginning of the day and the end of the day, what are you doing? There are other things you can control, like your mindset and your attitude. Once you start doing these things for 2 to 3 weeks and on, you'll start to see the results. You just have to trust it in the first 2 weeks, because sometimes the results will take more time, and you just got to keep going. Be consistent with it. Trust it. And if you keep doing these things, these controllables can also carry to the academic side if you're a student like me. If you are in a competition, like you're not a month or 3 weeks out before your competition, you're in the competition mode. What is next? You can't really change anything except your mindset, because nothing will change unless you get injured. And the only thing you can actually change is what you tell yourself, your confidence. And what I like to do, like the day before or even at the competition, like a meet, I like to repeat to myself that I can win. I prepared everything to be at this moment, and my start is better than everybody else. Because if you have a negative mindset about it, that, I'm slow today, I don't feel good, so I'm gonna run slow, my start's bad, like look at this guy here, he starts better than me, you're not gonna get positive results because you're already focusing on the negatives. If you focus solely on a negative thing, that is the result that you'll get. But anyways, when we are setting up our blocks and we're kind of getting ready, what I like to do is, snap my legs, do whatever you need to do at the blocks. But then I like to breathe in all the way like this. Tense up your muscles. Hold for 5. And exhale. You'll feel a high sense of relief. Like your stress levels will just go down. Like you feel like, I'm in the zone. I feel sort of locked in. You're almost there. I gotta add one more breathing technique to this. But anyways, after I do that, and when the official says on your mark, what I'd like to do is breathe in more, hold for 3, and then out. And I do that twice before I go into my blocks. And what that does is that it just increases your cortisol, like up here. Like right now, after doing that, I just feel super energetic. I feel like I can execute what I need to execute at this moment. So basically, you calm yourself before the race, and then when you need to get into your blocks and start, that's when you start to increase your energy levels. Because if you're like, oh, I'm super excited all the time, and you go into the blocks, what I felt for myself was that I was like into the blocks, I'm like, damn, like I'm fatigued. Like I don't think my fast twitch muscles can work, and I feel like my activity would just be terrible. Like I have no sense of self. Like my limbs kind of feel numb. I don't know where everything is moving. And you would get rid of the sensation if you do that second breathing technique like I did. Breathe in and then breathe in more, hold, exhale. And guess what? When I did this, I felt power through my body. I felt every inch of my body. I knew what body part had to move in my start, and I felt reactive. Usually when I hit my top speed, I don't feel that good. Like I feel like I'm just flailing my limbs kind of everywhere. But when I did that and I was going through my top speed, I felt kind of more controlled. Like I could move at this speed while I'm not just going super speed, but not being controlled about it. So I was able to execute well and, PR, which is what I did at my last meet. But besides sports and competition, if you need to lock in academically, then do these steps here. So what I found useful was I needed to create time blocks. A time block to eat, study, but also for my classes and even sleep actually. You should include sleep in there. You know when you need to sleep, you know when you need to eat, and you know when you need to go to classes. Because if you don't have any of these times blocked, then you don't really know what you're doing in the day besides just going to class, doing whatever, and then coming home and just feeling like, what do I do next? You just feel bored, which in turn has you procrastinate by being on your phone and just not really doing anything productive. Another thing I like to do, which is something I said a couple videos ago about creating a list and how I said that some people will hate it. I still find that useful. Like, although I have a calendar of tasks that will need to get done by that date, I like to write down the tasks that I need to do to reach those goals. Because if you don't know what you need to do in a day, you wouldn't know what to do. And you would have to use a lot of your brain cells and your energy to figure out what to do. So to summarize, time block and then create a to-do list and then execute. Isn't that easy? Well, there's actually more to it. I'm not going to just end this video like that. It starts with your morning and night. Like I said in my previous points, you need to get adequate sleep. If you don't get enough sleep, your cognitive ability would just be subpar. Like your ability to think, it's slowed. Be able to make great decisions would also be slowed. And your ability to be productive, produce high quality work, it'll just be slow. If you don't get enough sleep, that's what's going to occur. But also, in order to have great sleep, like I said, get 7 to 9 hours, take magnesium glycinate if you're not doing already, which I'll have it linked below, and then also avoiding your phone. And if you want to avoid your phone in the morning and at night, if you just wake up in the morning and you go on your phone for like 2 hours, you doom scroll, and then you wake up or get out your bed after that, you really feel like crap. You're like, damn, I just wasted a lot of my life doing this. My brain just feels so bad because it's just filled with a bunch of artificial dopamine that you don't need in the day, and you already feel unproductive. What I found useful for myself was to keep my phone in another room before I wake up, before I sleep. Before you sleep, put it in another room. So when you wake up, it's not there. Same goes with studying. Put your phone in another room so you're not distracted. If you still feel like you're distracted by the apps on your phone, I suggest you should just delete them. Like, you don't need them. They're not adding any positive benefits to your life at this point because you need to lock in academically. That's more important. Like, who cares about this stuff on Instagram or Snapchat or TikTok? You need to make your grades better, right? So delete those apps. You don't need it. And that's what I did this past semester, my 20 credit semester. I didn't have a lot of time. I felt like I was just spending a lot of time on these reels that's on my Instagram when I could be spending more time on my homework because I had a crap ton of homework I needed to do. And then whenever I get home from school, I'm like, oh, like I need a break from it. And I thought my break from it was just spending more time on social media. And that just kills your momentum throughout the day, throughout the morning. It's just not good for you. And when I found myself being addicted to social media when I shouldn't be, that's when I knew I needed to lock in because nothing was getting done. My stress levels were super duper high, they're up here, and something needed to change. Another thing I like to stress upon is deep work sessions. So that's something I included more into my 20 credit semester because I didn't have a lot of time after the day, which means I need to do something in the morning or in between my classes. I like to advocate 1.5 to 2 hours a day. That's what I did in the mornings at 5 a.m. I would do whatever class homework I needed to do until 7 a.m., right? Which was where I had to get ready for class. Sometimes I skip class, which are classes I thought were not important or I could catch up on slides. Don't skip class in general, don't be like me. But yeah, you should be including these deep work sessions at least once or twice a day. If it's on the weekend, it should be at least 3 to 4. I found that the Pomodoro technique is useless for me because I'm like, I just spent 30 minutes just reading this. Why am I stopping? Because I'm just going to lose what I just read. So do 1.5 to 2 hours a day. You can use a timer. It's pretty easy to find one, and keep your phone in a different room, have a no distracted environment, tackle your to-do list. That's why we created it. You do that and you just grind because you needed to lock in. Another good point is to have a water bottle with you so you don't have to get up, get another water, or fill your little cup of water. You have a big boy bottle next to you, you'll be good for that 2 hours. Even coffee too. Sometimes I had coffee and that was good. So you're at this point where you need to lock in. You have the optimal space that you need, like I mentioned before, but then you do your homework or you need to study and you come across these set of problems that you need to do. What I recommend you to do is do the easy problems first because those don't take a lot of time, and then you tackle the hard problems. If you are in college and you have TAs, I would suggest to go over the hard problems with them. But if you're in high school who doesn't really have access to TAs or even your teacher, then that's when you spend more time on those questions after you get rid of the easy ones. Because if you spend a bunch of time on one hard question, but then you have your homework due tomorrow and you still have a lot more questions to do, then your stress levels, at least I know my stress levels, would be super high because I'm like, I got nothing done because I spent a lot of time on this hard question. So do the easy questions first and then do the hard questions. That's also a very good testing strategy that I've found because usually the hard questions, especially engineering, they are geared to be hard. So then that means they'll be more lenient about it. So you don't have to worry about the hard questions as much as the easy ones. So to help you with your lock-in process, here are ways you could study different subjects. I think most of you are not in college yet. So here are the strategies I took to, lock in on certain subjects. So in math, if you have an exam in a week or in a few days and you need to study, what I found, extremely useful was to pick out practice problems of each topic. I would usually pick 5 to 10, do them, and then, repeat of each topic that you have. And when the night before or the morning of your test, I would look at every concept, just give it a glance, and then I'm all set. Because when you practice every concept, you're practicing the way that you should do the problem, like the steps on how to do them. So when you practice those steps repeatedly, you know how to do them. And then the morning of, when you look at it, you just give yourself a gentle reminder. So for English, I suck at English. I'm not a very good English person in general. But what I've found that improved my essays, if you have to write essays, was to just write it down first and then you would edit the grammar, make it more convincing or storytelling-ish. Do that last. Also, having an outline is very crucial because then your teacher will tell you that it's more structured because I'm a very crazy one topic to another topic type of person. You've probably seen it in these type of videos. I try to keep an outline, but sometimes that outline isn't one step to another step. But make an outline. Plus you can also add citations in that. Keep track of it. It's easier just to copy and paste that citation in there instead of having to look in your book and finding it. I found that helpful. Saves a lot of time. And yeah, that's all for English. For science, it's a hard one. You just got to memorize and understand the concept it has. Biology is more of a memorizing type of spiel, and chemistry is a little bit of both. So understand the concepts that's given to you, but also memorize it because you got to memorize the basics. And what you need to do for that is have active recall, which is repeating to yourself what you learned. So I like to practice active recall for making drinks. So I could tell you what a Cosmo is, right? So for a Cosmo, that's what I did. If you read a recipe of a Cosmo, you kind of repeat to yourself and you flip it over, right? You can do this on Quizlet. And you try to remember the ingredients. So there's nothing here. Cosmo, right? It's 2 ounces of vodka, 1 ounce of Cointreau, 0.75 ounces of lime juice, and then 0.25 ounces of cranberry juice. You know, it's kind of that stuff where you have to look at it, try to remember what's on the content of that card, flip it over, say it to yourself. It's very helpful to say it out loud like this, turn it over, make sure you're right. And you just keep shuffling through the deck until you're able to tell me or tell yourself, like, what is on this card? Oh, it's the Revolutionary War. When was it? And why did it happen? But also that ties in with history, right? History is a lot of memorizing, but what I found useful and a little more interesting to learn, you know, if you're not interested in learning something, it's not fun. So a game I like to give myself when I'm learning history is like, what is the cause of this event and what is its effects? That's mostly what history is. So for homeworks and readings, I said this in like 2 videos past, I don't like to listen to music while I read because there's a lot of information going on in your head while you read, but there's also information going into your ears. So you're just getting a mumble jumble of mess. And we don't like that. I don't like that. Maybe you find that more useful, but I just feel like I can't grasp the concept easier if there's information going in here and then going through my eyes. So I don't listen to music while I read, but if I'm doing math or science or projects like that that don't require me to read so much, then I just put on hyper music, rap, EDM, you know, whatever you're into. That's helped me to keep my energy up, keep a positive environment. But yeah, these are all the steps I took to lock in academically and in sports. Remember, you're the one who is responsible for taking action. Nothing will change unless you change. The best time to start is now. Stop being lazy. You know you need to lock in, and I just told you how to lock in, so you have no excuse to lock in right now. If you want to find out how I increase my productivity, then I suggest you to check out this video right here.